Hello, Pauper fans. This is Mathonical, and you're joining me for round 6 of the Pauper Challenge, the 7th one that I've recorded. The opening hand is a little too risky for me. We're on the play, which means we don't even get our land. We need to draw a land on the second turn, or we're in trouble. So I'm just going to ship this one back. This one doesn't look that great, but at least we have a lot of land to cast anything we have going on, and a Pal Sentinel might be able to make us draw back into it. A little risky, but we're just going to go ahead and keep this one. Hopefully we're going to see, yep, perfect, prismatic prism to go with our Glint Hawk, so that way we can at least start drawing ourselves back into the game. That is exactly what we wanted to see, keeping that on top. Going to go ahead and lead on the mountain, because that's the less indicative of what we're on. But we're just going to go ahead and play the Prophetic Prism here, so it's now very obvious what we're on. For the most part, nobody really expects the Searing Blazes just yet. This mountain leads us for a really nice turn 2. We could... Oh, and the Ash Baron secures it. Basically, the debate was, do we want to bounce the Prism, play a mountain, and then just replay it? Only really want to do that if we have another untapped land to play the Pal Sentinels if they don't play a creature here. So we're going to go ahead and do that. He ends up removing our creature and playing one of his own, so can't really play the Pal Sentinel now. I'm just going to go ahead and get our Thraben Spectre online. And yeah, kind of hoping that they don't play a creature, or at least not a flying one. Does play an Augur of Boros, and does reveal a Lightning Bolt. Basically, I'm going to go ahead and play the Pal Sentinel here. If he's got 2 removal spells, like one in addition to the Lightning Bolt, it has to be Scred to get rid of the Pal Sentinel, then we're going to be fine. Turns out that he just plays the Spellstutter Sprite, which should be able to chip in and steal the Monarch back. But that's alright. We should be in an okay position to try and fight for it for the rest of the game. Hopefully we're able to win it back at some point. We're going to go ahead and cycle the Secluded Step because we want some removal. Thankfully we draw some. And we do have a Skyfisher which we can use at some point, although right now I don't want to cast the Galvanic Blast because I'm expecting a Spellstutter Sprite. There it is. I'm going to play the Core Skyfisher first to bait it out so that way I can remove the Sprite. This, of course, does mean that he's going to be able to hold on to the Monarch for another turn, but this is a more favorable exchange for us to at least get the Core Skyfisher online. This is going to be able to block all of his flyers and should be able to force chump blocks if he wants to prevent us from getting the Monarch back. Fortunately, we're once again drawing a ton of lands, although we did start with a fairly land-heavy hand, so not much we can do about that. Does mean if we start going off with drawing lots of cards, we at least have the mana to do so. There's the Lightning Bolt that we did know about, getting rid of our creature. And yeah, Searing Blaze is fine here. It means that we can kill the Augur, and drawing the second Lightning Bolt means we can at least kill another Spellstutter if it was to come out. It doesn't happen. So we're just going to Lightning Bolt that and force the chump block from the Sprite. He ends up just removing our last creature, which is perfectly reasonable considering that he's the Monarch. And I'm just kind of going to try and draw down to something that's useful here to try and get us the Monarch back. Unfortunately, we're not. This means that we're likely going to eventually get buried under the Monarch that we gave them, but this is kind of why I don't like the Monarch in Delver matchups, just because they have a lot of ways of fighting for the Monarch, and once they get it, they're really good at holding onto it, just like most control tempo decks would be. Skyfisher is a good draw, just going to run it out there, hopefully no counterspell. Thankfully there wasn't. This means we get to get an extra redraw as well. More lands, a little unfortunate, but this at least gives us a reasonable chance to get the Monarch if they don't kill it. Hard casting Gush. Yeah, it's looking pretty rough for us. Yep, there's the removal spell, our creature's gone. So we're just going to slowly watch ourselves get crushed is the feeling I'm getting now. But we're just going to play it out anyways. There's always the slight chance that we somehow squeak out getting our Pal Sentinels back. Try and go for the removal spell on the Ninja, because if that sticks, and drawing multiple cards a turn, where things aren't looking too good. Unfortunately, he does have the Dispel for it, the main deck Dispel. Gonna try and remove it here. Another counter spell. Yep, this is what happens when they draw a lot of extra cards every turn. Currently have drawn 12 extra cards over us. So, a little unfortunate. Now we're just gonna hope that they can draw themselves out of this game. Journey, gonna try and get rid of some of the pressure on us, but at this point we don't really have winning chances, and I'm not usually one to concede. Just even if your chances are very low, I still keep playing because why not? I'm here to play. But he's going to start cashing in more ninjas. That's basically game over at this point. So I'm just going to start skipping through the rest of it. This is going to start running over us really, really quickly. More ninjas, drawing lots of cards. You know, I can always hope that he accidentally just draws multiple cards off of his ninjas and draws the deck, but he's already starting to decline draws, and we do lose the game. Wah wah. Alright, so this just means we have to win the next two post-board games. Alright, let's do it. Sideboarding. Seeker of the Way isn't going to be the greatest card here, so I go ahead and take out a couple of those. I also take out the Journeys. I actually realized, like, as soon as I started the game, oh, I should probably leave those in because they're going to be bringing in the Stormbound Geists, but a bit of a mistake there. Hopefully I can play around it. I also bring in the Electriceries. That's really good here. Pyroblasts are amazing. I am starting to take out, if I decrease my curve like I am here by taking out the Palace Sentinels, and I take out a land, if they have red, I'm going to be taking out an artifact land just to decrease the chances they have of having a shaman wrecking a lot of our lands. It's one less land for them to kill. So, yeah, that's about it for the sideboarding. I do regret taking out the Journeys. Just as a note, if they've got blue, you're definitely going to want the Journeys to deal with Stormbound Geists. And, oh yeah, I also bring in the Prismatic Strands just because that is a 2-for-1 against all of their red removal. Can also sometimes fog an attack if they've got ninjas online to stop a redraw. And yes, let's jump into our opening hand. Opening hand is reasonable. We've got a bunch of, we have a redraw, we can start cycling our step and cave, and this hand is immune to shaman, so perfectly reasonable to me. Also a lightning bolt to get rid of something whenever we need to. Gonna start on the Forgotten Caves, that way our lightning bolt is on next turn in case they go like a turn 1 Delver. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think they do sideboard out their Delvers, but you never know. Start getting our redraws online. 2 mana up. I'm not too scared about them counterspelling anything I'm doing this turn, so I just kind of go with it. Gonna be looking to cycle the Secluded Step. And there's the Stormbound Geist, instantly instantly punished for taking out those Journeys, but we might be able to get around this, especially since we're able to get the Core Skyfisher down online. And I made sure that I was able to discard the Prismatic Strands to protect ourselves against the Core Skyfisher there, since we're drawing so many cards anyway. Doesn't mean he's going to be able to get in for 2 damage, but I'm not too concerned about that. Goes for another Lightning Bolt, that's fine. Gonna start drawing our cards. More cards. If we ever need to, we can throw 2 removal spells at the Stormbound Geist, but not in any rush at the moment. Pyroblast means that we can counter another one before it hits the battlefield, which I don't think we can play around 2 of these. So our hand is looking really good here. If he doesn't do anything, I'm just going to cycle the Secluded Step. Since he doesn't, I go ahead and do that. More lands isn't really what I'm looking for at the moment, and that just seems to be how it's going. Still not in a rush to kill the Stormbound Geist. Because he's tapped out of blue, and I decide to go for it here simply because I'm not sure how many more opportunities I'm going to have where he's going to be tapped out of blue completely. He plays a Gorilla Shaman here, that's fine, he's going to kill one of my lands, no big deal. I'm not even in a rush to kill it, because if he wants to start spending 5 mana to remove these, that's fine. Also, because if I go to try and remove it, there's, of course, the option of Spellstutter Sprite, and because I'm playing around Spellstutter Sprite, I'm going to throw the Thraben Inspector out there first. If he goes to Spellstutter it, I have the perfect plan of using the Electricery overloaded to remove both of his creatures. If he does any kind of counterspell, including a Spellstutter Sprite, I can just Pyroblast the last thing, and I still am playing around Daze through all of that. So, I go ahead, and he plays right into our trap card. Go ahead and wipe his board, get our Thraben Inspector online, which means we can draw an additional card. Everything is looking great. All we need now is some additional card draw. He does play a Ninja here. I'm not going to throw a removal spell at it in case he's got another Spell Stutter, although now that we have a second removal spell, I'm going to go ahead and do that because I'd be able to remove the Spell Stutter afterwards. Doesn't have the Spell Stutter, that's fine. That basically tells me for sure that he doesn't have a Spell Stutter in hand. I believe he's already played that. So things are looking pretty good for us. We're going to be able to draw cards, extra removal, that's great. And let's see how much damage the Thraben Inspector can do. These guys are the best. These gals, sorry. Alright, so he does manage to stick a Stormbound Geist. That's a little unfortunate for us, but it doesn't block our Thraben Inspector. So we're just going to start playing Gain Some Life and swinging for damage. These Galvanic Blast is basically just going to stop a ninja if it was to come down. Turns out our opponent does still have the Delver of Secrets. I do play a land here because I'm going to be Searing Blazing, and you can see the power of it. We're able to chip in for a lot of damage and kind of win races when that happens. He's just kind of going off and doing his card draw and plays a Gorilla Shaman. That's fine. That means he's going to be able to start cracking our vials. So I have the option to start cashing them in, but I'd rather keep them up to make him use all of his mana to try and burn them down. And I'm just going to be able to start or continue to getting for damage. We already have 8 damage in hand, and I really want to send these at his face. Just looking for another 4 damage, or if we can get another attack in, just 3. He's going to go ahead and start attacking for some more damage. That's fine. Going to try and cast a Glint Hawk when he goes to Spell Stutter. This is a good opportunity to start using our Galvanic Blasts, because this is a redraw, so even though it's 4 less damage that's going at their face, I do value having just a Glint Hawk on board. And we ended up drawing another Galvanic Blast to replace it, so looking great there. All we really need to do is get in a little more damage, and he's been pretty removal light. Of course, he does draw one off the top to kill our creature. He's getting in some damage. We're going to get in some damage as well. Just a couple more points to go before we can burn him out. Thraben Inspector online. Let's draw some more additional cards. Land, unfortunate, but should be okay. Here he's going to start popping our vials. That was to be expected at some point. And since he's tapped out entirely, I'm just going to use this opportunity to throw both Galvanic Blasts at his face. Of course, it's showing that I'm trying to kill him as soon as possible, but I'd rather not give him the opportunity to counter them, because if he Spell Stutters, I'm basically forced to Spell Stutter the other one. Here he does keep himself alive by popping the vial, and then I get to attack in. He's going to throw a Spell Stutter under the bus to try and kill one of our creatures, which is reasonable, but this means I get to now bolt his face. So it was a close one, but we did manage to win both, or we did manage to win that one. Alright, so that means we have to jump over to game 3. And of course in this one, realizing my mistake, I did bring in the Journeys again. And I took out another Seeker of the Way, and actually took out another land, since we're fairly light, or like fairly low land count now, and we're on the draw. I'm okay with just running 19 lands currently. Since these games go pretty long as well, so you can see how flooded we were getting. Opening hand is fantastic, lots of removal, lots of burn. Steering Blazes are the card we want to see if we want to go for more of a burn win. If we're trying to remove their creatures, we might as well be doing half the damage to their face anyways, so we happily keep this one. Delver of Secrets right away. I'm just going to get rid of it. I don't want any shenanigans. I don't want him trying to protect that. It's just gone. Drawing Journey to Nowhere, that's perfect. That means we can get rid of any of those pesky Stormbound Geists if it was to come down. None of them come down just yet. We're just going to cycle this Ash Barrens for another mountain, since we're very burn heavy and we do want to make sure we have multiple red sources for these Searing Blazes. Going to go ahead and put the BorosSS Monarch, or the Boros Garrison down to just bring this back to my hand. There's the Stormbound Geist. We've got the answer for that, and another answer for another one if it's to come later on. We don't have much in the way of proactive plays going on, but we've got plenty of action to control the board, which means our opponent isn't going to be able to run away with anything. If they're not playing anything, it's likely Spell Stutter sprites, counter spells, ninjas, the like. And sure enough, there is one Spell Stutter, but since we played a land, I'm just going to go ahead and get that off the board, doing a bit of burn to the face as well. Here comes a ninja. Well, we've got another Searing Blaze for this one. This is, in my opinion, if I'm going to be planning on burning all my creatures, my opponent's creatures anyway, I really like the additional benefit of Searing Blaze. It is a bit harder on the mana base, but I did tweak this one to handle it. And as you can see here, it's working out pretty well for us. Starting to get light on removal, but, you know, this is why we took out 2 artifact lands. That Gorilla Shaman is going to do nothing. Going to play the Prism here. Of course, he could spend 5 minutes to remove it, but, you know. Realizing that I really don't want it to get removed, I'm going to go ahead and Journey it. Basically, this is what's going to turn on any of the future Core Skyfishers or Glinthawks. Of course, I end up drawing a second Prophetic Prism, so that point didn't end up working out that well. But with the redraws, the cycling, we did eventually get into a Core Skyfisher. And when they try to remove it, I do have the Prismatic Strands to keep it alive. He does remove it a second time. But that means I've already countered one of his spells with half of a Prismatic Strand, so things are looking pretty good there. Going to go ahead and return a Prophetic Prism, which is going to give us a redraw, and my opponent's on 2 cards. I'm hoping no Ninja here, but since we've already dealt with a number of them, I'm not too worried about it. Going for the Prophetic Prism here, he goes for the Spell Starter Sprite, so I'm just going to overload an Electrickery and hope he doesn't have a counter for it. He turns out not to do that, so that is great for us. Of course, we just draw more lands. Go down to 19 lands and still flood out anyways. That's how it rolls. Pyroblast, that's a good one. Means we can at least counter something from him. Time is starting to get down pretty low on both of our clocks, so we're both starting to play very fast and pass through as quick as possible. But at the same time, we both need to have interaction available. I don't want him getting an Augur Bolus down because I don't want him to find additional counter magic, so I'm just going to go ahead and Pyroblast that. I do have a Lightning Bolt to remove a Spell Stutter if he was to do that. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have a Spell Stutter since he would have played it at some point already. And because of that, I'm just going to go ahead and Lightning Bolt it, and sure enough, I was correct. He does get another Augur, very unfortunate for us, and it was into a Gush. That does not look too good for us, so now the clock is looking a little more enticing as a way to win. Galvanic Blast, I'm hoping for no Ninja. Thankfully it didn't come. Pyroblast, alright, now we've got backup to get around any kind of Spell Stutter shenanigans. We're going to take our beats and more removal / burn. This is really good for us. It means that we can probably draw this game out as long as we need to. He goes for a Hydroblast here, that's fine. I'm just going to Pyroblast it. Does have a counter spell, alright, I'll let all that resolve, and then I'm just going to turn the Galvanic Blast to it. Finally it sticks. Alright, we can take 1 damage a turn, no problem for a while. Ooh, a Stormbound Geist, that's unfortunate for us. Does mean that we're on a bit more of a clock. Of course, we're now 7 seconds ahead on the time. Electrickery is not the greatest to see here, but it does mean at least we can play around Spell Stutters in the future. And we're just going to continue to draw more lands, unfortunately. Does mean we get to bounce the Radiant Fountain to at least gain more life. It's essentially like a fog at this point of the game. Augur Bolus, that's additional cards for the opponent. Scred, at least we can counter that with Prismatic Strands when we eventually get a creature. But we're starting to take our beats, and it's not feeling too good. Glinthawk, that's exactly what we want to see. As long as this can stick, which it does, we can now start trying to replay our stuff. He's going to go for the Scred, but we've got the Prismatic Strands for that. And we're just going to kind of hope to draw into some action. There's a lot of our lands out of our deck, so got to draw action now, right? So we do draw a Vial, that's perfect. We're going to play that. Thraben Spectre, alright, that's another redraw. Let's keep going. Let's keep it going. Basically, by doing this, it means that I am conceding that I'm going to go below him in time on the clock, but if this chain goes long enough, it may be enough to win the game. Another Thraben Spectre into another redraw. I'm going to keep going. The line stops there. Eventually hit another land. A little unfortunate. Going to take our beats in the air, another 2 damage, but it means we can turn around and hit him for 2 damage back. And we do start losing our creatures again to some more removal. Skyfisher, let's try this again. How many cards will we draw this time? Going to go for the removal. Not much I can do about that. Let's get the redraw going. Skyfisher, excellent. Let's do that again. Playing that, drawing another card. The time is still neck and neck. I'm obviously playing this as fast as I can to minimize the amount of time I'm losing. Skyfisher should lock up the board state currently, so we're not going to lose to damage. And the time is still even, so things are looking pretty good. It's just a matter of who can play faster and do that kind of thing. I'm going to go ahead and block the Stormbound Geist here because I can definitely remove it with a Galvanic Blast if I need to. Exclude Steps, not really what I want to see, but I'm going to cycle it. Glinthawk, perfect. We can drop that, draw additional cards. Spell Stutter, thankfully we've got a way of answering that since we can just cast this Electrickery. He's going to go ahead and counter that, whatever. I'm now going to use the Galvanic Blast to get rid of the Spell Stutter sprite because we need to get this card draw engine online once again. Just as a quick note, to play this kind of deck faster, if you click the Boros Garrison, it is 1 click, drops 2 mana, and then if you cast the Prismatic Strands afterwards, it automatically uses the mana. Just a quick little shortcut that'll save you a bit of time, especially in games like this one. So we're going to continue to draw additional cards, and here, because I'm starting to really feel the time pressure of the clock, I just F6 after this one. It turns out I could have played a Glint Hawk, but with this much damage on the battlefield, I think I can already win the game through 2 attacks using the Vial. Of course, on my turn, I'm just going to go ahead and play the Glint Hawk now, just to draw a couple additional cards. Now that I have the Lightning Bolt, things are looking pretty good. So, Glint Hawk goes down, going to bounce one of the prisms, going to play the prism, got to keep drawing as many cards as we can. And now that we're down 25 plus seconds, we're basically priced into playing as fast as possible and winning the game. We now have enough flyer advantage that we can definitely get there. And I don't need the Seeker of the Way, it's just going to get blocked, so I'm just going to cash in one of the Vials, stop the Stormbound guys from blocking, and I'm going to get in for 6 damage here. Basically, I'm going to go ahead and play it anyways after the combat because I can play it quick enough. And here I just have to Stormbound Geist, or Vial the Stormbound Geist, attack with everything, and I've got even a Lightning Bolt on the backup plan to get in for the damage. Down to 17 seconds, so this is my game plan. I can do one more turn of this if I need to, but thankfully it was already enough to win the game. So it's a bit of a nail biter, going right down to the wire. Both me and my opponent had to play as fast as possible, and we just managed to eke out the win on damage. So not even going for the timeout win. Did it the manly way. Risk it all and go for the attack. So barely managed to squeak out the 4-2 currently. So things are looking pretty good after that bad start. Going into the next round, if we manage to win it, we'll be 5-2. Although currently breakers don't look like they're going to go our way. We're always in the bottom few of our current section of the bracket. So if we win it, we're likely top 16, and that's about it. But I hope you'll join me for it. I'll see you in round 7.